So here we are at the base, um, in front of the Western Halls, the same one I showed you last time, where I built the small village with the inn, the town hall, the bar and grill, and the brewery. Now in this game we still haven't finished it yet, so I don't have the King's Brew, but it seemed very empty to me. And so I started to experiment with the facades. So you go into one of the areas, or what I call the tile, for each one of the squares, which I think the tile system they use with the random facing and generation is very much like a board game. Things like Hero's Quest or Gloomhaven or well, there's a bunch of them actually. Anyway, the tile randomly appears in a direction and orientation, and it's got various entrances and exits, and some of them connect and some of them don't. And to fill in the gaps to make the game more immersive, I believe that the devs have put in these facades, these things that look like houses from a distance, but on closer inspection you can't go in. And when I first played the game, I was like, wow, that's kind of cheap. I thought I was going to get to explore, not the 3 or 4 or 6 buildings in a square, and that's it. But then I realized when I built the 4 buildings, it was very empty, and it looked very plain. And so I did a couple of things out here as I'm building the village and rebuilding the areas here. And part of that was playing with facades. Now I did take the grand hearth. I got tired of it in my way, so I built a platform and shoved it up there so I could build anywhere. Surprisingly enough, it connects automatically. It overlaps just enough inside of my base so I could use all the materials in there, which is horribly convenient. So you can chain these things across the squares, across the zones. Likely not across, the map areas. I haven't tried that yet. I guess I could. So to orient you, here's what I'm calling the Hearth Mother, and then over there is the Town Hall, and here's the inn. And none of that has changed. And yes, it is incredibly stable. I haven't lost a thing here as far as I know. We may find something on this recording, but I have found nothing. And I'm still getting wandering critters in here. I get goblins and the occasional warg, and of course the occasional rat and pig thing. Okay, so let's go over here around the back of the brewery. And I already showed you the bar and grill, where I showed you the taps and that I shamelessly stole from Exile. But here's one of my first facades. It's a 2-story building, pretty basic. Some filigree. I used some stone at the bottom to give it depth. And a couple of large pillars. It didn't turn out too bad. And then I decided, well, what if it jutted out? Some of them jut out, and you have little stairways you can go in. And this corner wasn't being used for anything. Of course, there's nothing in here. But again, I used stone at the base, because what else you're going to use stone for? And I built the shadowed windows. I think it looks really nice, actually. Okay, so then I built the stage. I got 3 of us in here. I should have recorded it. And we each grabbed a mug of beer, and we all sang a shanty together. It was kind of cool up here on the stage. So I figured there'd be entertainment for the bar and grill. Here's another home that I built. Try to add a little more depth, some columns, some a little more appointment, make it look a little different. Unfortunately, I am not creative enough to come up with an endless variety, nor do I think we have all of the pieces yet. Though devs, if you'd like to prove me wrong, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it. This one's a little different. It's got some hitches, some posts made out of stone. I added the bases, even though they partially covered the bottom part of the window. I like the way it looked. Nice, interesting roof lines. This is a large corner house. Obviously, it's not really there, but the windows and the door being over here. One little house right at street level. All of this just adds some depth to the to this area. This one I did a jutting portico with pillars, larger roof, deep inset windows. Alright, this is my attempt at a balcony. It looks like crap, but I haven't found a way to do a balcony. If anyone has any ideas, please let me know. I tried to use the outside corner and those supports, but it just didn't turn out well. There's an inset stairs, obviously a small house here on the corner. And last but not least, pretty plain. I had the top part jut out a little bit over the roof. So that's Facades. Now I'm going to take you to j.r.r, where I am building our next base and my favorite location to build a base, because in this game with my sister we just got there. Hopefully it won't take long to load. So the facades give a nice feeling of you know, there's more of a community there than just the four buildings. And they're just purely for aesthetics, but I do understand why the devs put them in, the artists put them in, to give the areas depth. Now if I could just figure out how to repair a few, that would be great. Okay, so this facility is laid out very much like my other ones, so no big news there. There are a few changes. Just like my normal j.r.r bases, because there's a front and a back exit, I couldn't put the forge in the same spot. So I have 6 of the large Ufan furnaces, and of course my Kudzel forge, and then a bunch of other forging equipment here on the first floor. And then I decided not to go with the 3rd floor. I have some issues with the 3rd floor randomly falling apart, but the first 2 floors that I do, they are rock solid, just rock solid. And though I made I made some changes that make these look a little fancier. Okay, let's go over here. Something's beating on that door. Anyway, so large farm moving from the other facility here. Give me a second. Oh,
I saw
I
Moria.
love bats. Happy day when you get bats attacking. Alright. So obviously this is still under construction. I've got a few things to tidy up. I put the mushroom growing area back here. Storage. And of course my 2-story brew tank room I always put here. Like I said, it's still under construction. I got to even up that. It's structurally sound, but I got to even it up. And I do very much like that 2-story wooden look. This is the armory next to the forge. And in back of the armory is going to be the storage for processed metals. Now upstairs, I made some changes. I spread out the brewery over this whole area. I didn't need any other area for the forge. So this area has, oh, looks like I lost a piece of floor. 7 of the medium brew tanks, 7 of the larger, the small brew tanks, and room for the 4. So that turned out well. I haven't been back to this since I reloaded, so let's see. Yeah, it came out. Okay. The bedrooms are largely exactly the same as I've showed you before, except I did decide to put on a roof. And there was a gentleman in Discord, I don't remember his moniker or his handle, who gave an explanation of how to do the inlaid wood ceilings. And I must say, they turn out particularly well. This just looks fantastic. And I did this, it does suck up a bunch of materials, but I did this in 2 rooms, or all the rooms. When you get 3 or 4 dwarves on, I've labeled the rooms with those tags. So number 1 is over there. Here's 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, and knock on wood, pun intended, the ceiling looks fantastic. And now I have 8 of the grist mills laid out at an angle so they actually look like they can be used. So those are the big changes between the last base and this one. None of them are earth-shattering, though I do like the roof. So it looks like a couple of pieces fell down here. I'll have to figure that out. So a couple of tips. Number 1, if you overlap a floor tile, you will never get a foundation. If it stays, it'll never form one. That's that lighter color area below it that gives support. And so I was having a conversation with a gentleman who put out a video of a fantastic house, and it was falling down, and you could see the structural integrity effect of crumbling on the screen. And he's like, I can't get things to stay. And so I had a conversation, and he's like, or she, I don't know who they are, but they're like, well, I watched your videos, but you overlap things a lot, and I don't think that would bother me too much. I have to tell you, overlapping in the game during construction to maintain structural integrity, as you see the colors shift, is important to keep your buildings structurally sound. Now I lost a few even on this load, and I just built this over the last couple days. I don't lose the floors and the ceilings and the other stuff very often. In fact, you'll notice that there's stone above the wood. That is very sound. The wood I'm going to have to play with. I guess if it's not aligned just right, it may want to come apart. But I'll be experimenting with that. Now you saw the other rooms and they look pretty solid to me. This was the first room that I did. Let's check out 4 and 5. But this is the tip I have is don't be afraid of overlapping. When it shifts color toward green or yellow or just no extra color at all, yeah, just that one little area, it should survive continuous reloads. I mean, I finished this area and it is perfectly sound. And so those are 2 quick tips. Don't be afraid of overlap. Overlap is your friend as long as it increases the stability. And if you overlap a floor tile, you will never get a foundation, which is useful, particularly if you're doing something in the ceiling. You don't want something. Oh, another tidbit, and I was explaining this to somebody else earlier, perspective matters. Sometimes when you're underneath or sharply on the side of something, it'll click. I also adjusted my mouse sensitivity settings for looking. They do have an effect. And of course I switch them back when I'm adventuring because I want a much quicker response. But a slower response seems to give me, at least my perception, a little more control over where I'm placing something when I'm fine-tuning that place.